as well? Wonderful.
Right.
Hi, Reema.
Hi, Martin. Good to see you.
Same.
So, for our coaching session today, what would make this a really powerful session for you? What comes up for you?
As it's December and many of my client agreements have an annual run. So I have several client December meetings where we are recapturing the year, and I want to draw out my own energy, how I use this to create something new for next year, or also call it, find a good ending, find a good capstone for the work together. So this is, as I was now 2 weeks slow. Tomorrow I will out of quarantine, so I can do my face-to-face coachings again. I have many of them lined up, and so I think it would serve me today have more energy, clear energy for what I'm building next. What's the where I grow into my next evolutionary step as a coach. Yeah.
Okay. So if you are looking at those renewals that are coming up, or the agreements that are coming up for I guess a step change in either direction for you and the client, which ones spring to mind for you as energizing?
That's an interesting one. Yeah. Most of my clients have really prospered this year. Yeah, they have really grown to some extent. They have last year we sat together. One particular client, a lady, she was highly impacted by Corona consequences because she works for the fair. And so that kind of almost stopped her business totally last year. And this year she's really prospering. She has been involved in many fairs coming back, and also in some of the vaccination programs she's supporting with her staff. So it was an excellent year for her. And she has outgrown our coaching agreement by multiple X's, I almost say, because last year I kept it in a very, hey, we don't know, uncertainty. So I kept a very small and almost like startup type coaching agreement. And she has really blown the top off from a financial perspective, from a growth perspective, from the way she enlarged her team. And so I said, hey, it's really time to create something new that mirrors her personal evolution, that mirrors her growth and the growth of her organization. She was able to pay really nice bonuses to her team. So, and in the controller side, we say, hey, interesting. Yeah, her team has wonderful bonuses, while I, as her coach, I have had a very modest agreement with her. Yeah? And I need to invite myself, say, hey, how does her growth is reflected in a new agreement? How do I reflect in the way we work together that she has and her organization has stepped up at least 2 or 3 iterational steps? Yeah. I think this is where it calls also out for my own leadership. How do I lead ahead? Yeah. How do I step into a field that allows her another growth step? Yeah. And I have that with several of my clients. Yeah. Other clients that have really the way they led the organizations have grown really well. Certainly there's external factors, like coming back after Corona was a lot of catch-up effect in some areas. But very often it's about the leadership change that they made, how my clients lead differently. And I think I need to step in front now and lead again by creating agreements that have that at the edge. They step out of their zone of comfort into their zone of growth. And I've been humble in some ways, maybe even too shy to use the sometimes the big bang. And for me, there was a reflection recently, hey, I'm not doing my clients a real service if I stay too small.
Yeah. So what do you want? What do you want to create with this? So if we take this particular client, so the first one that came to mind, what do you want to create with her?
I want to create with her like a frame, an agreement that has the component of, yes, there's an element where I coach you as on your personal development, on your leadership development, and there is a component in there that reflects the leverage, the financial power that she has as being an entrepreneur. So that I have two components. One component which is personal growth element reflected, and one is the financial reward or financial success or financial indicators that she and her organization are going to create over the next year and a half or two, because she has a vision how she wants to grow. Right now she has one team, but she actually thinks about having satellite offices, and that requires another stepping up in her organizational structure. And I think it required from my side to create an agreement with her that reflects these two dimensions, the dimension of the personal growth and the dimension of the organizational growth.
Is it, and how can you help her create a journey? So I hear you talk about an agreement here with your clients, and that's true, we have to have agreements with our clients. But tell me more about the journey that you can support her on.
Yeah, the journey, I think the interesting journey for her was when I started working with her 4 years ago. She was by herself. She had a small team of 3 people, mainly running everything on her. She was the main person and had some staff supporting her in the way she was running the projects. And she has since then decided, hey, I hire good people. I hire a team. I hire a team leader. I enlarge the space. The way we are working with my clients, we become more and more professional. She invested in several steps to upgrade their professionals structure. And that was everything on the entrepreneurship side. And on the other side, as a person, she became a mother. And right now she's basically a single mother. So she has the whole dimension of being a single mother and managing her family side, being with a mother of a young child, plus having the whole dimension of running a small company. And observing the main difference that I made by being her coach is I created for her areas of safety, of calmness, of reflection space, that she was able to make necessary decisions, being on the side of a single mother, going into part-time work, having support structure around, And when the company was in bad shape, also going into a hibernation mode and then creating the structures that allowed the company to and the team to grow. Yeah? And I think this is this journey that we are on. It would be, it requires drawing out another growth step for her and also for me, because I don't think it's the solution that putting in other processes and so on. Yes, they will help to grow the company, but it's really the mindset, the way she's leading her team, her organization, and is also letting go of things that she needs to do that has the outcome of where she is right now. Yeah.
Okay. So where is the real challenge for you?
I think it's part of the ownership there. It's acknowledging my part in the journey. Acknowledging that without being a coach on her side, many things would probably have been a lot more challenging for the whole system. And this is a combination of being bold and humble at the same time, really speaking about it and owning it, owning my part of the whole equation, and also playing at the next level, creating the next level of growth. So like what used to be this the ceiling is becoming the floor.
Yeah.
And I need to, from my own say, hey, how is a ceiling or how is a high growth environment in an agreement reflected when I talk to her next week. Yeah, we have our coaching review for the year, and said, how do I show up from my next level ceiling where, hey, I embrace a growth where I feel it's my own edge. I'm speaking into the world, my own edge.
Okay. And so you've got the meeting with her next week. How have you planned yet how you'd like that to go?
Well, my intention is to do a reflection. And to do a reflection not only over this particular year, 2021, but doing a reflection of our now 4 years of journey together. And from there, also leaping into the future, doing that 3 years out leap. Okay, how will we reflect in 3 years from now? And how do we create from that energy? How do we create something that makes it really exciting for both of us?
Yeah.
Exciting for the company, for her to grow the company, and also have her family situation in a good setting. And also how is this becoming or continuing a growth relationship in the sense of the coaching perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I need to really plan it out to the minimum. It's really more going into the presence. Her main challenge is that with being a single mother, that she's very short span attention. And so I invited her into my place so that we have 2 hours, safe space around, so we have full presence and we can use that presence to explore deep, or to go deeper, rather than just a short. There were many coaching interactions this year that had some 20 minutes, half an hour, where it was almost like hand holding to certain decision points, and not so much a transformational coaching experience. that's what I want to spend my time in. I want to spend my time in transformational coaching experiences rather than just being a somebody who helps to make a quick decision, which sometimes is helpful, but it's part of the journey. But I'd like to have that not the predominant one, but the predominant one being the space that allows to go deep.
Okay. How can you build that in with this client more?
I think there's one element that would also from my side call it out that, hey, let's consider this a coaching space where we really go for a big vision, that we draw out your big vision again, make it tangible. Think again, what is it really about? Yeah? And enlarge, expand the vision, the picture, the energy around the vision, and come from that space.
So tell me, I'm curious about your current structure with her. So how do you currently work with her in terms of?
We have basically a frame. We say, hey, we have once a month an interaction with her or with her team leader, and on a need to know basis in between. So yeah, yesterday when she called me for something that she wanted to resolve, and so I helped her have an hour with some. It was more like a consulting call. I gave her my advice, but there's the original idea was to have a monthly interaction that where I serve her mainly in her role as the entrepreneur, developing and growing, helping her to grow the organization. Yeah. And in some way that's probably practical to continue to have that frame, but really make it a lot more valuable. Yeah. Also from making putting a higher price tag to it that reflects the current level of her business and the team that she is running.
And what structure do you work on with her? So you have a monthly, but is there any structure to those sessions, or how do you work that structure in around their vision and strategy?
No, have you tried that before with her, but it really surfaces very often. It surfaces, hey, there is something, this is an immediate attention for that. Let's have make that a topic. And then sometimes what we do, I set up a meeting, her and her team leader, the responsible for the whole group, and we basically reflect through topics, key main topics that require attention from developing the company. These are more from my perspective, more consulting approach. I'm more in a consulting head there. While when I have a walk with her and we go for like an outside coaching, that then allows her to reflect deeper and extract her ideas, a vision. So I prefer to have with her these walks, than having these sitting at a table and coming up with a consulting advice, a trusted advisor. It's probably more the trusted advisor that gives impulses to, hey, it would make sense the company here to invest or involve and make a process better there, or upgrade the software here. So it's that angle that serves the company, but the real transformational growth, the long term, happens through the people. And this is when I walk and take my time reflecting with her on a walk.
And how often do you do the advisory bit? Is that ad hoc, or is that?
We do schedule this basically in the calendar, but it's not that, hey, every first of the month is this. It's like on a, hey, it would be good to have another call of this dimension, because her her business has been very cyclical. Sometimes they're so busy that they don't even see where the head is, and so it's not then it's not a good moment to really go into some structural changes. But now at the year end is coming down, there will be, I'm sure that January and February will be slower, quieter months. That's probably the time where we can then have this reflective call. Hey, what can we improve in processes? Where can I help to push there? But it hasn't worked out as, hey, let's put every 2 or 6 weeks or 4 weeks into the calendar, because their dynamic in the business has often not synchronized well with that approach.
And do you sign her up in it for 12 months?
Yeah.
Up front? Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have a quarterly payment arrangement. It's an annual agreement, but we have a quarterly payment arrangement, and that works well with the cash flow. So therefore, I'm most likely going to build on that one and just create a bigger frame around it. And what I'm talking about is I don't see myself as there's not a real boundary for me. It's more like stepping into my ownership and doing it. It's not that, hey, this is out of my zone of, it's within my zone of competence. Definitely there, the zone of genius is, hey, let's create something that has a win-win frame around it. Yeah.
So what's really stopping you from stepping into that position?
I don't think there will be anything. I do realize that sometimes when I had an intention, hey, let's step a little bit further out into the, I have been, how do I call it? Sometimes when I create a big proposal, I'm not silent enough for this proposal to really resonate deeply. So, and I have observed with myself that I speak out a proposal, and instead of just waiting for the sound to, say, go one side and come back and come to an uneasy quietness, like uneasy silence, I disrupt the silence and deviate with another proposal or variability or something that takes the attention off from that proposal. And I think this is where I need to step up and say, hey, when I make a powerful proposal and I have it wrapped in a good wrapping, it takes also the time for the delivery to arrive and let the other person take it in. And I think this is where I'm too impatient or too willing to please rather than serve. And I have that with other occasions where I made proposals which I knew would be edgy for my client. And instead of giving them an experience of feeling the edginess of this such a decision, I'm almost taking that away from them by speaking into that silence.
Okay. How else could you slow it down?
What I've done recently, and I've turned it around and I've said, how much would you feel like investing? What would be a growth step from your own decision of an investment into yourself?
At what point have you asked that question? I'm curious. At what point do you say
Well,
that?
instead of they asking me how much will the service, how much will the coaching with you for 1 year will cost? I mean, with existing clients, I can build on what hey, let's create a new agreement that is reflecting your new level. With new clients, I can also say, hey, how much are you willing to invest in yourself? And I turn this around and I invite my clients to speak a proposal into the room. And I have pretty good experience with that. You know? In three occasions, three occasions, we could immediately agree on the frame. Yeah? Because they were seeing the value in coaching over a long-term period and said, hey, if that's something, I mean, I gave some frames of how I work with other people, so they knew a little bit the range that is typical for an investment with myself. And then they said, hey, I'd be willing to invest 20,000 euros with you. And say, okay, how do we create this? Yeah? And this is something where I realize, hey, this is allowing the client to speak their own proposal into a room makes it, I'm not sure shifting it, but it creates already some part of the agreement. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily, it's for me allowing the leadership to, hey, fill in the space, frame the space, and from there we build. I don't feel very, it's still something where I say, hey, this requires the presence in the moment. Yeah, it doesn't serve everybody and it doesn't work in every situation. But when I slow them down enough and we have an intense session with a big vision, yes, I can do this and I can allow them to create their own proposal.
Is that process something that you would like to repeat with more clients, or what's your preferred way of working?
The benefit around this is it creates quickly a win-win space. If that's something where I said from my side, oh, that's rather low, yeah, I said, hey, I can extract that. Let's say, okay, if you assume you do that, we assume that one, what would be the great outcome after a year? How would you know that this coaching really has the fruit that you energy, time that you put in as a harvest, and financially, what would be the criteria, how you would experience that, hey, that was a very powerful invest. Yeah. And by turning the energy there, I can immediately sense that are they playing safe, or are they willing to step on the dance floor and turn up the music? Yeah. And that's for me what I observe is, hey, the energy it's a lot more creative. There's a lot more in this situation. When I need to give my, hey, this is my annual coaching frame agreement whatsoever, they can say yes or they can say no, but the energy is different. I observe the energy of my clients speaking their investment into the room. There's more creativity around. There's more, hey, do we want some flowers here? Do we want some, how do we want to do that? How intense do you want to, or where would you put some really intense time with me in? We could add 2 days of just one-on-one and having a long walk into the mountains. And so that allows for created spaces that really reflect my client's needs or reflect my client's personal vision.
Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about that process and that how you're I guess empowering your clients to co-create with you, because people people obviously feel a lot more brought in when they are collectively creating.
Yes.
In that collective creation process, it can be very powerful. What's missing between that feeling that you're just explaining now and this client that you have been speaking to me about during our session? Where's the gap?
It's my invitation to really call out my client. Hey, so if you look at your personal evolution, company evolution, what is a good step? What is something where you, from your perspective, what you, the profit you've created, how much of that do you want to reinvest into your growth? You know how we work. So what is something that reflects that particular evolution step within you that you say, hey, yeah, it feels absolutely, it feels good. It creates space to growth. It's not too small. It's not humbling, but it's something that creates a zone that allows for growth. And how you fill the zone with growth, that the year will show. I will lead you. I will continue serving you, but we create some growth space, and it's really within your ownership to create from that growth space. And also from my side to always go back there, because I observed with another client where I said, hey, I accepted a smaller agreement. And in that whole year, he has played small. I think there's a lot more potential in the way he creates the world, but I accepted, basically to prolong the old agreement in some way or the other, and not seeing him how he has evolved and grown and has stepped up. And throughout the year, he is stuck in many ways in the old way. So it's also my responsibility to step more into a growth space, and that is well reflected in the money or in the agreement that is created. And it's my responsibility to create growth agreements. And I think this is my intake now, my insight is at creating growth agreements, not checking myself when I do a proposal. Hey, is this a growth agreement, or am I playing in the safe zone? Because there is this, hey, if I step there, he could say no, or she could say no. But I think it requires this. It requires from me to have the courage that, hey, even that we work 3 years, it's good. We call it a capstone on it. Let's be good for now. And I think this is where being a long-term relationship person, ending agreements is something that feels painful for me.
Should it be about you or the client?
I think the important is the agreement needs to serve both sides. It needs to serve my client's growth side, and needs to also call in that I am willing to show up and grow there as well. And this is where I realize that I have some agreements that are not designed for growth, where I have accepted more like hourly or annual daily rates rather than growth expansion frames. And I observe my own energy wise that if the agreements are in time for money rather than growth, it has a different energy to it. I need to drag, or sometimes I need to carry the energy a lot more than when the space is, hey, what powerful thing do we want to create today? Yeah, make this one a real, yeah, make this a whatever, a 50,000 or 100,000 euro creation today. How can we create 100,000 euros in these whatever 2-3 hours we spend together? Yeah, and come from that creative space energy.
And I love it because when you talk about it like that, your whole face lights up, you're more expressive. It just feels good, right? When you're coming from that space.
Yeah. And I think this is my zone of genius there. Yeah. But when I'm in this creative space, playing with my clients, yeah, sometimes really coming out with weird, crazy ideas in their business, how they can be creative. This is where I draw out my special energy, and sometimes I come with weird questions that they all start thinking, they all start going down. And so often they have, hey Martin, you remember last time we spoke with this one? I realized it. It's here. This is the prototype. I tested it. It works. Yeah, or something like that. So when looking back through the year, the most powerful sessions were on these big creations. Yeah. And when I talk to my clients now, hey, what's the biggest creation that you created this year? And they all can name at least 2 or 3. Yeah. And when we then take the financial hat on and say, hey, how much benefit has this created for the company or for the organization or for yourself? These big numbers. Yeah. And yes, I love it. Yes, and it makes totally sense to create agreements that honor this play. Yeah. And this is where I realize, hey, this is where I need to step more into my zone of genius and create boundaries around, hey, yes, we want to play, but then let's play bigger. Let's play, yeah, from a financial investment, so that yes, we pick these creative spaces and come with crazy ideas. It remains in the end, it's not guaranteed for success, but if you create 3 or 4 wonderful ideas, it's very likely that one of them will carry abundant fruit. I sense the energy. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. I can sense the energy. And for me, it's stepping into this zone of genius, in this creation zone, and create from there, and create edgy agreements that are, if not on the line, or over the line, rather than being a safe foot away from stepping on the line. Yeah. I use the example with, hey, the referee is there to call out a foul. So sometimes we have to step on the line to see if the referee calls. Yeah. And if it calls, yeah, that's the role of the referee. But if you don't step on the line, you don't know whether it's if you've really expanded, if you've really tested the game. Yeah.
So what's next?
How do I know that I've implemented these? Yeah, it's speaking to my clients, speaking and calling out, hey, how do we want to create these creative agreements for 2022? Make it something that both of us, we really are looking forward to playing. And I'll keep serving you, and you keep growing. Yeah?
And once they are, you've got this relationship with them already, when you're going back for the existing renewals, that they can say no, you can brainstorm, you can always change it to suit them, and push them. You love doing that transformation piece. If you can help them see the value in that, perhaps a bit more. I'm curious, just one more question. Do you regularly reflect with them?
At least twice a year. I usually do it in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, but in some way I do it every session, because I allow the normal flow is that in every session say, hey, please give me a status update. What is currently happening? Yeah. And then they reflect on the time between our last session and this session, and hey, what have they implemented? What have they thought about implementing, and how have they implemented, and how did it work? So there's a lot of this reflection. And then I slow them down and say, hey, what did you really change? How did you change the way you approached this situation from a leadership perspective? How are you feeling different? How are you creating the world different? Yeah, so there's a lot of this reflection that happens usually at the beginning of a session. Sometimes, yeah, I don't even ask the question, hey, what are you really bringing? We're going from a reflective space, and it's so evident that, hey, this is where we spend another session on going deeper. Yeah, I do ask, hey, what else did you bring? But very often it's within the first half hour, 45 minutes, some of these reflection really invites for another circle, yeah, another round. And this is why I stopped preparing. I stopped preparing in the sense, hey, I need to do certain methods. The most powerful I am when I'm fully present, when I allow myself to slow down with my clients so much that everything is present. That's the magic. Yeah.
Great. So we're at just over 45 minutes. Well, probably 45 minutes from when we started talking.
Yeah.
So what's been your biggest insight?
My invitation on myself is speak courageously powerful agreements into the world, and invite my clients to express that as well. Yeah? Or invite my clients to speak powerful agreements into the world that honor that growth game that we're playing. And from my side, step intentionally on the line to push that edge. Yeah, and accept that there might be a no on the way. Yeah. And if there's a no on the way, that would allow someone else, to step in a coaching relationship with me, because right now I'm full. I have no more slots. I don't have any slots available. Yeah. So it's from that, it requires for me to step up. Yeah. So with the option that some of the others say, hey, actually, no, I'm fine. Let's call it, or come with a less intense agreement, so that would free up some slots as well. Yeah? Mm-hmm. I think this is the invitation to myself. Be courageous in this moment, creating growth agreements. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.